Here we are in the QBO gym, and this is where we have numerous hands-on exercises that simulate real-life scenarios that you may encounter as a bookkeeper. Each month covers a variety of new topics and scenarios, and to make it a little bit easier for you each month, we break it down into 4 different sections. So if you are looking to work on your bookkeeping skills, this is the place for you. And if you want to do an entire month's worth of these all on your own, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. But let's get into today's exercise, which is being pulled from our June Year 1 cool down section. At the top here is an animated video to give you a synopsis of what is going on in Craig's world this month. He is our fictitious business owner and your client. Below that is an interactive pre-assessment quiz that relates to that video up above. Below that are the exercises in this section. And at the bottom, here's an optional area where after you have gone through all of these exercises, you will unlock some sample marketing posts to share, a sample marketing post to use on your LinkedIn to share with everyone what you have learned so far. So let's get into today's exercise where we are going to practice reconciling Craig's bank accounts. Go ahead and click on that link to have the exercise pulled up for you. I have it here on the right side of my screen, so let's read through the scenario. As a bookkeeper, your primary responsibility is to ensure that all financial transactions are correctly categorized and match the flow of money into and out of the bank. You have just received the monthly statements from Craig's Bank, so now it's time to confirm that all the transactions have been correctly added to and categorized in QuickBooks Online. To complete this exercise, you will need a copy of Craig's bank statement. Click on the link beneath the cool down video to grab a copy. So if you go back here in the gym, here is that animated video. Here is this button that says bank statements. Go ahead and click on that so that you can have it downloaded. Once you do, go ahead and open it up. This is what it will look like once you download it and open it. As you can see, we have our savings account transactions and then all of our checking account transactions. So you will need to be in the same session of the sample company that you did the previous exercises in, all of the cardio section. If you have not completed all of the exercises in that cardio section, go ahead and click on the link on the top right corner of your screen. That'll take you to the first one, complete that one, and all the ones after that until you get back to this one. They all build on each other, so it's really important you start with that first exercise. I have the sample company up here on the left side of my screen. This is the last page that I left off of. So let's go ahead and begin the exercise in reconciling. To get to that page, we're going to click on Accountant Tools and then select Reconcile. So Accountant Tools is on the top of the screen. Click on that, and then under Quick Links, select Reconcile. Now you'll see this following welcome screen. It's just to give you an understanding of what this area is all about. We don't need to read any of this information or watch the video. So let's go ahead and just click on Get Started. You will get this secondary welcome screen. Once again, we don't need to do anything here other than click on Let's Get Reconciled. If it's your first time reconciling, even in client accounts, you'll see those screens, but after that, you won't see them anymore. All right, so note that this bank combines both the savings account and checking account into one statement, as I mentioned before. So let's start with the savings account. You can do them in any order, but since it's listed first, let's do this one first. So in the account field, we're going to select savings. So click into that box, go ahead and select savings. In the ending balance field, we're going to enter the ending balance that's found on the sample bank statement. So if I go back here to the savings account, you will see it says period, ending today, beginning balance of $600, and then ending balance of $800.02. So this is what we want to enter into that screen or into that field. So click into that ending balance field, type $800.02. In a real life scenario, you would be entering the ending date that is from the bank statement. But for the purposes of this exercise, we're just going to use today's date. As you can see on our sample bank statement, it says period ending today. The dates in the sample company are always changing, so let's make it easier and just put today's date. So go ahead in that ending date box, go ahead and type a lowercase t T as in Tom, so that you can get today's date. And then now we just have to start reconciling. So go ahead and click on that green Start Reconciling button, and you will see this screen appear. If you have any pop-ups like this, just go ahead and click out of them. It's QBO just trying to give you information about this area. But before we move on, let's take a minute to review what you're actually seeing on the screen. Especially if this is your first time doing any kind of reconciliation, it can look very overwhelming. So let's go through this. There are screenshots down here in the exercise itself. Just know that if you're looking at these screenshots, the numbers here may not reflect what is here on the actual screen. But I'm going to walk through the things that you see right here so that you know what it is that you're looking at. So the beginning balance is the ending balance from the last time that you reconciled. It can't be changed right here, that beginning balance. Now the statement ending balance is from the bank statement that we just entered on the previous screen. That is right here. If you discover that you entered the incorrect statement ending balance or even the statement ending date, you can click on this Edit Info button to make adjustments. Next to each of the transactions, you'll see a circle. Now, for me, I need to scroll over so that you can actually see it. There's only one transaction in here, but each transaction that will be listed is going to have a circle here. This will have a blue check mark if the transaction has been marked as clear. It's kind of similar to the bank feeds. So when you find a transaction here matching something here on the bank statement, you would click on this circle right here and a blue check mark appears. Now, when a transaction is checked, it's going to be added to the total payments or deposits, which is right up here. So as an example here, if I clicked on this circle, you can see that it has moved up here to this deposit. I'm going to uncheck it for right now. The cleared balance is the beginning balance minus the payments and deposits. So the beginning balance minus the combo of this payments and deposits will equal the cleared balance. Now we have the difference over here, and this is the statement ending balance minus the cleared balance. So statement ending balance minus the cleared balance equals difference. The goal of reconciliation is to check off the transactions until the difference is zero. So if this gets to zero, that means what you have here in QBO is matching everything that is showing here on the bank statement. So when you get to that zero, it's very satisfying as a bookkeeper because you know that everything is matched properly. Now, finally here, note that the transactions currently showing are only those dated on or before the statement ending date. It is filtered right now. So you can always turn off this filter by clicking on the X next to statement ending date. And you may need to do this if you have transactions that were added with an incorrect date. These are usually called hidden or rogue transactions. So if you are doing this in real life and you are reconciling and you see something on here that's not showing up here in QBO, it may be the wrong date. So just clear this filter by clicking on the X so that you're seeing all transactions and see if it's in there, and then just make adjustments as necessary. So that's what this whole screen is all about. In the remaining steps of the exercise, we're going to complete the reconciliation by checking each transaction until the difference here is showing as zero. If you clicked on this, make sure that it's unchecked right now so that it is fresh. There's nothing that's showing as being selected. Just so we can have a clean slate for doing the reconciliation. And as I mentioned here, if you start to reconcile, you may have several navigational pop-ups. Those were the ones that I clicked off of before I went over everything on the screen. So if you have any of those, just go ahead and click out of them. All right, so currently there is only one transaction, and luckily it matches one of the transactions on the statement. If we go back here, we will see that there is a deposit for $200, and that is what this is right here. So go ahead and click on the circle to mark this transaction as reconciled. Now we have a 2-cent difference, and that is for the interest that was paid. So that's the only thing that is missing right now. Usually you can just add this from the bank feed, but we can also easily add it manually. So let's do it that way. We're going to click on the plus new button and then select bank deposit. So click on the plus new button on the top left corner of the screen, and then under other, select bank deposit. In the account field, we want to select savings since that is what it is for. So click the down arrow, go ahead and select savings. We're going to leave the date as is, but of course in real life, you would want this date to match whatever date is showing here on the bank statement. In the add funds to this deposit section, in the account field, we're going to select interest earned. So scroll down here until you find this add funds to this deposit section. In the account field, go ahead and click into it. And then I'm going to start typing in interest earned so that it comes up immediately for me. Once you find it, go ahead and select it. And then in the amount field, we want to type 2 cents. So I'm going to scroll over here. In this amount field, it's the very last one. Oops. It's the very last one here. Go ahead and type 2 cents. And if you hit the tab key over, you'll see that it has been added for this bank deposit. So we're just going to click on Save and Close. That's the green button on the bottom right corner. And now that has been saved. And you may need to click out of some more of these pop-ups again, even though we just did it. And now you can see that that deposit, that interest for 2 cents is now showing up here. So we can go ahead and click on the circle to mark this transaction reconciled. You will see now that our difference is 0. You got that green check mark. So we can go ahead and click on that Finish Now button. And now we have reconciled the savings account. So all we need to do now is just click on this Done button. But just as a note here, in a real life scenario, you would have the opportunity to attach the bank statement. There would be something that says Attach Statement right here. Since this bank provides one statement for both the checking and savings, you could attach it to each reconciliation or just to the checking account since that one has the bulk of the transactions. Always a good idea to just have that there if you want to easily reference it, but not necessary to. Sample company doesn't allow you to do that, so that's why there's no button there. So go ahead and click on the green Done button. And that one savings account has been reconciled. So now let's turn our attention to the checking accounts. In the account field, we want to select checking. So click the down arrow, go ahead and select checking. In the ending balance field, we want to enter the ending balance found on the sample bank statement. So if I go back to the statement right here, that beginning balance of $5,000, the ending balance is $2,542.46. So let's go ahead and add that in there. 25, 42, 50, or 46. I didn't say that correctly. 25, 42, 46. $2,542.46. All right, so in a real life scenario, you would of course use the ending date that is found on the bank statement, but as you can see here, we have the period ending today. It's just easier to do it that way in the sample company. So let's go ahead and type a lowercase t in that field. So we get today's date, type a lowercase t. Your date may be different depending on when you're doing this, but we can go ahead and click on Start Reconciling. That is the green button right here. And now we have all of the transactions for the checking account. Once again, if you get navigational pop-ups, just go ahead and click out of them. As you can see, there are a lot more transactions in the checking account than there were in the savings accounts. So now using the sample bank statement, we want to check off the first 4 matching transactions. So let's go into the sample bank statement. And here are the ones that we need to look at. So let's get started. The first one is a debit for Robertson and Association for $300. So that, I'm going to scroll over here. Here is that first one, payment for $300. The next one is a deposit check for $175. That happens to be the next one right there. Then we have another payment for $250 for Robertson Association. There it is. And then we have one for $50 to $5, check number 12. So let's see here. The check number 12, I'm not sure if you can see with my video screen. Here's that check 12 right here for Books by Bessie for $55. Go ahead and click on that. Now the next one that we have here, it says Board of Equalization. This is sales tax for $38.50. So if we look at that payments, these two sales tax payments, there are two that are nearly identical on this list. In a real life scenario, you would want to investigate it. What happened here? A common scenario is that someone entered a transaction with the wrong amount, and then when the bank feed came along and it didn't match, so they just added a new one. Regardless, for the purposes of this exercise, we're going to use the one that matches on the bank statement. As a good rule of thumb here, when there is a discrepancy, the bank is always correct. So let's go ahead and do that. I think it was for, where is it? 38.50. So let's make sure we do that one. That's the first one listed. Go ahead and click on the checkbox next to that one. So let's continue checking the matching transactions. So let's go back to that bank statement and continue on where we left off. There is one for Tanya's Nursery for $89.09. That is this one right here. That expense, go ahead and click on that. Another one for Tanya's Nursery for $108.90. Let's see, keep going down here. So here's one for Tanya's Nursery that's very similar, but it's for $108.09, not 90 cents. So you'll notice that the amount on the one for Tanya's Nursery transactions does not match exactly. Remember, when you're looking at what you're looking at here is the QBO transaction. So again, as a rule of thumb, the bank is always right. It's clear that someone just simply mistyped the amount when they entered the transaction in QBO. So you want to change it during reconciliation. So let's click on the Tanya's Nursery transaction to open up the details. Just click anywhere on the line, not the circle, just somewhere on that line. And then in the payment field right here, we want to type the amount that's shown on the bank statement, which is that $108.90. So click into it and just adjust that. So it says 90 cents now. And then we can go ahead and click on save. So click the green save button. And now it is, if I scroll over, now you can see that it is matching properly with what is here on the bank statement. So let's go ahead and click on the circle next to it. So we're going to continue checking the matching transactions until the one, including the one that we just corrected for Tanya's Nursery. So let's keep going here. So check number 5 is $62.01. So that's the one right above that, check number 5. A deposit check for $86.40. So $86.40 is right here. One from Kate Whalen for $225, and then a deposit check for $105, which I think those are the next two showing right here. Yep. Go ahead and click on both of those. Hicks Hardware is for $250. So let's find that payment. Scroll down a little bit and you can see it right here. Go ahead and click on that. And then another one for Hicks Hardware for $24.36. Go ahead and click on that one. One for Squeaky Clean Car Wash for $19.99. That is the next one right here. Now I'm just going to make a note here. If I scroll down, I think there's another one from Squeaky Clean Car Wash for the exact same amount. We're just going to do the first one that showed up here on this list, but of course, in a real life scenario, you want to make sure that the one that is on the bank statement is matching the date that is showing here. So for the purposes of this exercise, it doesn't matter, but just keep that in mind. If you have two transactions that are both correct and they're both supposed to be in there from the same vendor for the same amount, make sure that the one you select is the one that is the proper date. Let's continue on here. We have one for Bob's Burger Joint for $5.66. So that is the next one right here. We're going to click on that. And then we have one for check number 69 for $100. So that is likely this next one right here. But before we get onto that one thing to go back to, you'll notice that on the bank statement that there is not a record of check number 4, which was written to Chin's Gas and Oil. This is a very common situation. People frequently take a while to cash their checks, and the bank will not have a record of it until it is cashed. However, Chin did cash check number 5, which we checked off earlier, right here. check number 5. So it is possible that they misplaced check number 4, and it would be a good idea to keep an eye on this and just reach out to them if they don't cash it soon. So that's just a note here, going back to the Chins Gas and Oil check that we had done a little bit earlier. Now let's move on to that one check transaction for $100. It is this one right here, but there's no reference number or check number showing right here associated with this transaction. These days, banks typically include a copy of the checks with the statement. So with some banks, QBO will now bring in the image of the check with the transaction as well. You could look at the check to confirm it was made out to Tony Rondanu, but once confirmed, you can add the check number to the transaction while reconciling. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to say that it is from Tony and that it is check number 69. So we're going to click on his transaction, click anywhere on there. And then in this reference number field, we're going to type the check number, which I said again was check number 69. So type 69, and then we're going to go ahead and click on the green save button. And that one is shown as captured. I don't know where it went. Oh, here it is. I was totally going by it. Make sure you click on the circle next to that one to show it as reconciled. And then we're just going to continue checking off the matching transactions. So let's go back to the bank statement. We have the next one here for Chins Gas for $52.14. So that one is right here. Click on that. We have check number 70 for $185. So let's look for that payment. That is this one right here, also from for Chins Gas and Oil. Then we have a deposit check for $694. So that is this one right here from Cool Cars. Go ahead and select that. And then we have a payment to Hall Properties for $900. Click on that one. We are moving right along. Hicks Hardware, another payment for $215.66. So Hicks Hardware, $215.66. Click on that. And then we have check number 2, a payment for $18.08. That is this one for Mahoney Mugs. Click on that one. And then Bob's Burger Joint for $3.86. So let's find that one. Here we go. Click on that circle. Then we have the insurance agency for $2,000, a big payment there. So click on that checkbox right there. And then we have a deposit for $556.25. If I scroll, let's see, a payment for that one or a deposit for that one. So let's leave that, let's skip that one and then come back to it. Okay, so another deposit from Travis Waldron for $103.55. Here's Travis for $103.55. Oops, I clicked into it, not the circle. There we go. Another deposit for $50 from Freeman Sporting Goods. So that one is right here. Click on that. Keep clicking into there we go. Keep clicking the transaction at the circle. All right, a payment for Books by Bessie for $75. So let's scroll up a little bit, and here's that bill for our payment for her. Click on that circle. Then another one for Squeaky Clean Car Wash. So there is a second one here. So it happens to be on the same bank statement, which is great. There it is, right there. So in this case, both of them were on this statement. But of course, if you only had one, you would want to use the one that had the correct date. So that works out perfectly for us. All right, we have a payment for Pies Cakes for $87.50. That is this one right here. And then finally, we have a bank deposit for $408. So let's find that one. Here it is right there. All right, so except for that one transaction from the bank statement that we couldn't find in here, you'll notice that there is that one deposit is missing for the amount of $556.25 that we see right here and happens to be the amount of the difference, excuse me. Your natural inclination might be to just create a bank deposit for the missing amount. However, if you did this, you would need to talk to Craig to find out what the money was for, where it came from, etc. Before you do that, look closely at the remaining unchecked deposits. When you do, you may notice that $337.50 plus $218.75 equals your missing amount. A likely scenario here is that Craig deposited both of these together but didn't tell you, so it was recorded incorrectly. It was recorded as two separate deposits. These are the two that we are talking about right here. There are two ways to handle this. The first, which would be more precisely correct, would be to open that sales receipt and redirect the funds to undeposited funds, and then open the deposit transaction and add that payment. This would accurately reflect exactly what happened. So you would change this to deposit to undeposited funds, and then you would update this one to, you would see this transaction on this bank deposit and you would add it to that particular bank deposit. However, you could just look at the bigger picture here. Is it so important that this be precisely correct that it is worth your time to make the adjustments? Honestly, probably not. What's more important is that both payments were deposited. So for this reason, and for the purposes of this exercise, we're just going to mark them both as cleared. So check on those two deposits. So click the circle next to the one for Dylan for $337.50, and then the other one for $218.75. And as you can see, as soon as we did that, the difference is turned to zero. So we have now finished reconciling, and everything looks great. So go ahead and click on the green Finish Now. And note that in addition to the transactions that need investigation and the check that hasn't cleared yet, that one from Chin's Gas and Oil that we talked about earlier, there will also be transactions left unreconciled. And this is because activity continues to happen in your account even after the bank statement cutoff date. So we have now reconciled the checking account. Credit card statements typically come on a different schedule from bank statements, so you are finished reconciling for the day. All you need to do is click on the green Done button. Go ahead and select that, and that's it. That's how you would reconcile bank accounts. Now, if you like this exercise and you'd like to do more like it, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. If you'd like to move on, be sure to leave this session of the sample company open, as you will need it for the next exercise in the cool down section, where we practice updating inventory. And I will see you in the next video.